All right, we are driving through a field. You can see that there's a field to my left, and then to the right you have mountain range and crops. This is a side dirt road that I don't know if you could see, but the fence is in the distance there. My dirty windshield notwithstanding. Anyway, I'm here with CJTV, a fellow live streamer and independent, nonpartisan reporter. The two of us decided to drive down here to the border, and we're on this small street. There's been canals and arroyos in this area. We're near Yuma, Arizona, just about a half hour south of Yuma. And the border wall, this is a small section. We got a tip-off last night. Now, first of all, before we get into the whole wall thing, which becomes polarized and political, something that we figured out is, and we were just discussing, was how economic opportunities and families don't just come from the south to the north, but some go from the north to the south. And one key example of that is our Airbnb host. We've actually been staying at an Airbnb, and the host, in a family business, they have a dentistry business across the way. You go to the Andrade crossing, and you cross over to we keep forgetting how to pronounce the I forget. Do you have it spelled?
I'm gonna pull
when I see it, I can say it, but I always forget. It's Algodones, right?
Algodones,
yeah. Los Algodones is a small town that's across the way, and when you go, it's amazing. We walked through the border. This is CJ Halliburton right here, and we walked through the border this morning. And when you get there, all right. See, now we're coming to a road closure that says no trespassing. So I'm gonna pull over and leave the car on this dirt area. You can see there's a canal there. It's about 100 degrees outside. It's going down, but you can see there's a canal there, and then the border wall fence or whatever you want to call it is in the distance. But so we walked through this morning at the Andrade crossing, and you roll that up. Feel that heat. I'll turn the car around first.
Okay, I'm gonna hop out.
Are you gonna hop out?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll just talk to these folks a little bit more. So CJ is gonna go out towards the and just walk around a little. This is all right. So there's 2 points that we really want to make. One is that when you cross over to Algodones, it's all like dentist, pharmacies, dentist office, and optometrists, where you can get, for example, if I need new contact lenses, I have to go through the whole process, of course, of getting a test done, to get around all that, you can just come down to Mexico. Likewise, the dental care that you can get in Los Algodones is basically all dentist office, optometrists, and and pharmacies. And the whole city is like that. So I'll show some video of that. CJ is walking out by the border. You can see right there. We did speak to a Homeland Security, I guess immigration border patrol agent last night. Was turning the car around so that it's facing the way out. And he gave us a tip to come down to this area right here. This is off of one of the county roads in San Luis. So we're just south of Yuma. And you have all these sort of canal roads, these dirt roads that go by these fields. And then I'm going to show you, of course, where CJ just went to hike off to is the actual wall / fence, however you want to call it. But the reason that this has been, I guess, a somewhat provocative story is that we've heard that there's a breach here and people just walk through. The policy right now, according to the Department of Homeland Security, or the Immigration's Border Patrol agent, he said that the policy now is, to check the criminal activity, and that they're focused on detaining those who have a criminal background, but not necessarily stopping everybody. They send, the words he used, his words was, we send them down the road. meaning they're free to go. And that seems to be a departure in policy from the last administration. That was, again, I don't have a strong opinion on this. I'm just telling you what we had a very candid conversation with a immigration agent who was patrolling last night this area, where he suggested to us to come and check out. So I'm going to take you out around. This is right at the wall fence. And he was very candid with us. And I think the reason why was he confessed to us that he's only a year and a half away from retirement. So he gave us his complete candid opinion of the situation. Feel free to ask any questions. We've been down here for a day now. We're staying 2 more days. And basically what we're doing is just getting a real look at, politics aside, what everything looks like. So obviously, we want to dispel any rumors. We want to talk to people. As I said, there are families that that come up here for work, cross to the north side, to the U.S. Side. And then there are those like our Airbnb host who crosses down south. She said her sister lives down there, that, so there are people that the border is right in the middle of these cities and towns that have this relationship. So if you're going to get across here, you got this canal to deal with, which runs all the way as far as I can tell. Now you can see the fence is in the background there. There's some kind of probably control burn, who knows, in the distance over there. And then the canal kind of goes, that's down to San Luis, and then Yuma is over this way, just to the east of those distant mountain ranges and farms in the distance. So we've had a chance to talk to quite a few people and get an idea just about what life is like in a border town. And for those who commute down to Mexico and those in Mexico come up this way, they are enabled with travel passes or fast passes, much like you see at the airport when people are trying to be screened quickly. If they're regular travelers, they do have. Now, it's interesting. I'll just say that back under the Obama administration, back when I was doing like acting and comedy and all this stuff, I don't know if any of you saw it, but I went down to Tijuana and did my famous Donald Trump impression in Tijuana. It was a humorous video, one that I'm proud of. I mean, I got a 1.5 million views when we released it. But it was interesting. I was very shocked when my cameraman, who was Mexican American, came down without a passport, and he was very clear. Now, I think what we've done is we've tripped a sensor here, and a border agent is coming right now while we're live streaming. So I think what we're going to see is what it's like when you are confronted. But basically, I don't know if there's any issue with us being here on the levee. As you can see, the fence is quite far away, and you can see right now that's within, look, just 10 minutes. Somebody made it out here to come and talk to us. So that's pretty impressive. From what we've read up, if that is somebody, but from what we've read up, there's a lot of technology that alerts folks. So there's Border Patrol. It says U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, and somebody I think is probably going to come out, or I'll get out of this guy's way. So, he could be just on a normal patrol, but we were listening to a podcast, and there are obviously a lot of technology that's out here. He could have been just, he just came down here and then he just turned around and went away. So he was probably just wondering what we are, saw we were just 2 live streamers out here. And you could see he left in a cloud of dust, so didn't even talk to us. Whereas last night it was nighttime, and so the guy came up to us and chatted with us for a good half hour and so forth. So this is, obviously a hot spot. The way that the story has been told is that when construction in some parts of the wall stop that there are sections that are incompleted. I would need to verify that and see that for myself. But we were doing research and listening to podcasts, and that was sort of one of the critical points, is that there are sort of vulnerabilities. Another point that I heard made in this interview with a retired immigration and border. Gosh, I really should learn the correct terminology, but immigration agent said that when you build the fence or the wall, that what it did allow was, the wall aside, was that it allowed for infrastructure and roads and the ability to reach some of these areas of the border, which are very desolate and very remote. And so that was just another point that was brought up by a retired um, immigration agent who sort of pointed out that when you do build this fence continuously or wall, that you have to obviously venture into. Anyone who's worked on raw land knows sometimes it's just an effort. We're on a dirt road here. It's easy for me to get from there to 50 yards down. But when you're on raw land and you're traversing unpaved, wild, it can take. You got to be in there with a weed whacker, sort of really going at it to get to some parts of the border. So that was a point that I had never thought of, which I should have thought of because I've worked on raw land and know how hard it is to just get around. That it's important to have access and infrastructure and just the ability to reach the border. As you can see where we are now, we have a dirt road here, we have fields there, then we have a canal, then we have what looks like to be a train track, and then beyond it, it's just like rough, wild land and shrubs and bushes, and then you have the border wall. And then to the north, there you see mountain range. So there's a lot of obstacles. People do it. The policy debate if you're listening to cable news and mainstream media, seems to really focus on very heightened points in the immigration conversation. But what is interesting to me is that there have been programs in the past, in the 60s, I was told, but also that continue now, in which you have migrant workers that come seasonally that want to stay in Mexico, that don't actually want to leave and want to go back to their native countries to the south. And they come for 6 months or a year or seasonally rather, in different different times of the year, according to crops and according to need, and could travel throughout. And what that allows immigration to do is then let people work legally, but focus on those who would come over illegally that have criminal backgrounds, who may be linked to organized crime or any other sort of nefarious methods when it comes to any of this, type of smuggling that you hear about. So the question and the solution seem to revolve around, well, how do you get the people who are honestly working, and especially those who want to come here and then go home, to do that? And how do you focus your resources on making sure that folks who are tied to organized crime aren't able to exploit and take advantage of those who are wanting to cross the border and get here without, desperately, those who are from Central America, other countries. As we talked to the agent last night for about 30 minutes, he said, we get people from all over. People come through the south border, but they could be from, the Far East, the Middle East, anywhere. So that's something that you don't think about as much, as when you have a breach, when you have a vulnerability, it's really anybody that could come through. Now, the chances that we'll see people, it's so much space it's so much territory. The chances that you're at the right place in the right time where somebody is going to come through at a vulnerability, who knows what time of day that would happen. But it seems that the chances are pretty slim in my mind. But obviously it does happen. And, there are thousands of Border Patrol agents that are employed because of that. And there's a very interesting, there's a, I don't know if you can see it, there's a truck in the distance there. Very interesting article appeared in, I believe, the San Diego Tribune about San Luis. That's where we are, San Luis, Sanluis. And you can see cars over on the other side of Mexico. There is a highway over there. But in San Luis, there's a article. If you Google San Diego Tribune San Luis, it talks about the vulnerabilities in the wall and those who would come over, and that there are those who run straight towards the border, immigration officers, and they go straight towards the Border Patrol truck and seek them out because they know if they've been through this excruciating journey and they need water, they need to be clothed, that seeing Border Patrol agents will be a ticket to processing. And if the processing is catch and release, so to speak, he said, send them down the road. I don't know that there's, politically correct terms or so forth, but it sort of, he was very frank with us and says that it is what it is. This is the current administration. People are processed, but unless they have a criminal record, they are not detained. And for more than 2 or 3 days was about what he gave us as a kind of general rule. If somebody doesn't have any criminal background, and if they are folks that are just moving through for work, that's the picture that he painted for us. So it's interesting. On this trip, we've had a chance to talk to a lot of different people to get a lot of different perspectives, and we're going to continue to do that. And so we go back into Mexico tomorrow. We were in Mexico this morning, and tomorrow what we're going to try to do is go down to the San Luis bus station, because if we get down to the San Luis bus station, that's the big sort of intake hub where folks might be, according to that article that I thought was the best article that I'd read, which describes the situation. According to that article, it's the bus station in San Luis where you get a lot of people in from all over Central America and beyond. As I said, they could be from Cuba, Brazil, but then continental, Asia and the Middle East as well. So we're going to go down there, check that out. That's the plan. And we're also going to probably stop through Algodones one more time, which is the smaller port of entry. So that's the update that I have. As someone says, careful, you don't get the sense that there's much danger out here because there's just so much space. It's so, when you read the news and you have these images of, there's cartels everywhere and so on, what they're not capturing, and hopefully what this live stream captures, is the vastness of it. CJ of CJ TV Media is all the way down there on his own. He just kind of waved. But the vast sort of expanse of border that's in front of you, it's just wall all the way down to those mountains over there. And it's canal and wall and tracks, and then border trucks patrol just coming through every now and then. But you don't get the sense ever, even when, we went into Mexico this morning, it was all very tourist friendly. Algodones has an industry built on basically folks coming in to get dental work. So the number of dental offices per capita, if you look at my video from earlier in the day, you just have dental office. Then you go look across the street, there's another dental office. Then there's an optometrist. Then there's a pharmacy. Then there's more pharmacies selling Viagra. And then there's more dental offices, and people are they're promoting. They come out and they try to catch you, they try to grab you. And they say, hey, do you need this? You need that? And they're all very respectful. I bought a couple souvenirs. I helped the local Algodones community by, getting a hat, a couple of trinkets and so forth. So there's some good artisan work. in the markets and so forth. I got a big giant cowboy belt buckle, which I was kind of happy with. It was ridiculous, but huge buckle. So anyway, so it's a tourist town, in other words, and a tourist economy. And a lot of the people there talked about how with COVID and the shutting down of the border, the Algodones, Andrade to Algodones, that crossing, which is up near in California, there's a town called Winter Haven, if you could believe it, out here. Someone had a cruel sense of humor to name a town Winter Haven out here. But the crossing there closes at 2 p.m., which is really early. So businesses are just shutting down on the border town by 3 p.m. because there's no more flow of traffic from the north. And these border towns are completely reliant on tourist travel. And again, it's not just folks coming from the south up here. It's people from up here coming down there. I talked to a couple and a lot of older senior citizens and stuff who were coming down to get their dental work done. One dude was in his RV from like Colorado, I think. And they were talking about making the trip down to get their dental work done and any kind of dental reconstructive surgery, that kind of thing, at a fraction of what it costs north of the border. So these economies are very linked together when it comes to border towns. And that's something that I just hadn't thought about and hadn't really dealt with or processed. But, it's another thing. It's one thing when you're reading about, quick headlines about about what a crisis everything is or isn't. And then when you actually come down and you talk to people and you realize that there are economies that stretch across a border. And the focus, in my opinion, again, this is my sort of neither conservative nor liberal view, is that you come up with a system in which you make sure that those who are wanting to work and who migrate here seasonally to work are able to do so in a organized fashion, and that those who would potentially bring harm are filtered out, and that immigration and customs, border control are focusing their resources on those who would be the problem, I guess, that would commit criminal activity, that are exploiting and capitalizing off of the desperation of those who are trying to get over north of the border. So in other words, that our border resources go towards that and not necessarily towards I guess any sort of mass hysteria or when it comes to families that for their economic livelihood do cross the border, as I've seen it during the Obama administration, but also in this current administration, under a more porous set of circumstances. I would say that's fair to say. Now, I never crossed the border during the Trump administration during those 4 years. I don't know, but certainly the reputation precedes it for being more hardline and strict with the border. So those are all the topics that we're sort of talking about, wrestling with, talking to others about. I don't know what kind of action. Again, there's so much territory, so much wall, so much space. There are areas that we'll go up a little closer with. So I'm going to end this live hit right now and try to take you a little closer. I'll probably get on in another half hour or so. But I'll look at a couple of these questions really quick. Someone says, I grew up there. Yuma sector is not the most active in terms of border violence, illegal crossings. This year has increased, but nothing like Texas or other areas. Okay. Well, thank you for that comment. That could be, we thought about going down to Texas. I mean, it's just a little too far. Me being from California, CJ is also from the West Coast, up in the Pacific Northwest. So we decided to leave from Los Angeles and come here to Arizona, Yuma, especially because we did know of some locations. It would be interesting to contrast, though, that with Texas and understand what sort of potential there is for either, violence that accompanies the type of reports of illegal crossings that you're talking about. So, Alfonso, thank you so much for the comment there. So, snowbirds love crossing. to Los Algodones in the winter. That is something I did not know. Well, look, folks, this is the county road. I think this is like county road, like, I don't know where we are. We're in the teens somewhere. So we're going to go a little closer down towards San Luis, which is in the distance there. And I'll jump back on and give you guys an update a little later. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll keep you posted. Peace.